TalkOne Radio, covering the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio, serving Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, Savannah, and beyond. Featuring your host, Big Al Flowers, with co-host Jeff Zapp. Two patriots who are unashamed to speak truth as they stand for God, family, and country. Join them as they discuss hot issues, breaking news, politics, sports, faith, and more, keeping the Low Country entertained and informed. Listen at TalkOneRadio.com or watch them streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Taking your calls at 843-800-1492. Don't be left out in the marsh. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest talk radio. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, only on TalkOne Radio.
Just another day in paradise. Covering the Golden Triangle, Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beaufort. Your hosts, Alan Flowers, king hot local issues and taking your calls as they keep the Low Country entertained and informed. Listen at www.talkoneradio.com and call 843-800-1492. Don't be left out in the marsh. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest talk radio. And now, here's Big Al.
Well, good evening, folks. Happy Friday to you. And as you know, I'm not Big Al. Zapper here in the studio tonight, live broadcasting here via the Low Country on the TalkOne Radio Network. And a big shout out to my brother, Big Al. I wanted to give everybody an update and thank you for all your prayers and lifting him up. As I understand from his wife, it actually turned out really well today for Al. He only needed a single bypass, not a triple bypass. So just really grateful. It was wonderful news. And certainly he's recovering right now. But I'm really happy to report that as far as I know, everything has gone well. He's recovering. He should be home sometime next week. And then he'll have a little bit of a journey ahead of him. But he's sorely missed already here in the studio. I was laughing because one of our intros has a little don't be left out of the marsh. And that's our our cue to look at each other and laugh and smile. So we have so much fun here in the studio. And when he's not here, I'm running the ship myself, man. I don't know if you've ever done any sailing. You're trying to sail, set the sail, and do everything yourself. I feel like I was juggling so many different things today. And ironically, it always happens when you're getting ready and you got everything squared away and some snafu, some issue comes up to where the next thing you know, it's just, a technical issue or what have you. So that's what's going on. Here we are, the 1st of October, folks. Unbelievable. This train just keeps on rolling down the tracks, and it's absolutely crazy. Wanted to make sure that I was recording there, which I am. So thanks so much for joining us on this Friday evening. I wanted to say thanks to all of our loyal listeners. Our phone lines are back open, by the way, and it's back to the 1-843-800-1492. Phone lines are open, and I will be taking calls tonight. See what's on your mind for this Friday evening, Furious Friday. Usually we're fired up in the studio, but a lot of great things to talk about. Certainly there's plenty of craziness in the world to continue to talk about here. So what I'd like to do is just have an opportunity to kind of set the table here and talk about things that are happening nationally and globally. But as we do that, I want to make sure that I have an opportunity I wanted to wish my mom. Tomorrow is her birthday. So I wanted to wish Jerry, my mother, we love you very much, and happy birthday tomorrow. I won't be around, so I won't have a chance to see you, but hopefully we'll get a chance to celebrate, have some cake together. But I just wanted to say we love you very much, Mom. I love you. I'm grateful for who you are, who's God has designed you uniquely as a strong woman that you are, and I'm grateful that you're my mother. So happy birthday to you, Mom. And believe it or not, we've got a call already coming in. And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and answer this and make sure that we've got the levels turned up here. Hey, you're live on TalkOne Radio. This is Jeff. Who am I speaking with tonight?
Hey, Jeff, Doug Fair. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you this evening?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hey, I'm on TalkOne Radio also.
Yeah. Well, great. So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I have a radio show there too, and I just wanted to. I hear a little echo, but I just wanted to tell you I'm so glad to hear the news about Big Al. And my radio show on TalkOne Radio is every other Saturday at 9 to 10. I own Successful Seniors.
Yeah, Doug, I don't think I've had a chance to meet you. Certainly, I'm familiar with it, and yeah, I'm with you. I join you in celebrating for the fact that Al's doing well, and it was a successful surgery, and it looks like, hopefully, the recovery time isn't going to be as great since it was just a single bypass and not a triple bypass.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reach out and tell you how genuine, I really feel Al is, and I was thinking about him a lot today. I mean, I had a busy day, but I was thinking about him, and I know that you're going to do well. You do a great job, and again, just wanted to reach out and just tell you about that, and tell you that I'm still thinking of him because the hard part's coming up, and so have a great show, and you take care.
Thanks, Doug, for calling in. Really appreciate that, and looking forward to hopefully meeting you in person here relatively soon.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a great night. Thanks for calling in, Doug. But there we go, folks. Doug Fair from Successful Seniors, and every 2 weeks, Al and Doug are in the studio here talking about finances, especially for the folks. I say retirees, but for those that want to save for their future, make sure they have money. In today's economy, especially, I'm telling you what, it's pretty difficult, right? Craziness out there. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But, really what I want to do, as I mentioned before I took the call, setting the table in terms of anything that's going on in your life. One of the things that both Al and I are unashamed of is the fact that we both believe that God is in charge. And whether you believe that there's a God or not, I'm just sharing my own personal testimony as it relates to me. There were times when I was in my 20s where I thought I had it all figured out, right? As I'm sure that we can all attest. But the older I get, the more I realize I don't know that much, and I have more questions than answers. And whether a tragedy strikes, I spoke with a friend last night that I haven't seen in many, many years. And he was unfortunately one of the victims of the torrential rains and the flooding over in, I believe it's Waverly, Tennessee. And unfortunately, he lost his wife. He lost everything. He didn't actually, I say the clothes on his back, but he lost those as well. And in times of horrific tragedy such as those, sometimes you question, is there a God? And is he in charge? Why would he allow things like this to happen in my life, in our lives? And we see even today across the United States, we've been so divided for such a long time. It's like polar opposites. I always say it feels like we're living in a bizarre world. But this episode of The Twilight Zone, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. I mean, we've seen it over and over again, from this whole pandemic, the COVID-19, the mandates, the vaccinations, the southern border. overseas with the Afghanistan debacle, national security issues, the economy, the recession. It's one thing after the other. And one of the things that I try to do is adjust myself every morning. And again, I'm not patting myself on the back here, so make sure that you understand where I'm coming from. But one of the things that I do like to do is ground myself in God's word every day. And I was reading this morning, I just wanted to share this. This is kind of our time of soulful moment. I thought this would be appropriate because usually I have Al that's given kind of the opening monologue. And tonight I thought, well, this might be appropriate to celebrate Al's recovery from his surgery and to talk a little bit about God's providence in each of our lives. Again, whether you believe in him or not, it's kind of a moot point. But in the book of Esther, if you've read it and you're familiar with the story, it's pretty amazing because God isn't mentioned at all in the entire book. And I think Esther is only one of two books named after a woman. So you got Ruth and Esther, right, in the 66 books of the Bible. But what I find really amazing is as you follow the story, just like in our own personal lives, we each have a different journey. But in the book of Esther, what we find is God working in these mysterious, incredible, mighty ways behind the scenes through situations and peoples and relationships. And Haman, the bad guy, right? He's got this dubious plot, this plan to take care of, Mordecai is kind of the hero, right? Well, Esther is too, but Mordecai has decided that he's gonna do what is right, which I always talk about here on the program. Do what's right and let God handle everything else. And so getting to the story in Esther, we see that God's hand is certainly involved. We call it providence, a theological term, and I want to discuss that a little bit more in just a few minutes. But it's a beautiful story, an illustration of really God's love for each one of us and the fact that he does care for us, even though when we may not see his hand or how he's working in and through others and through situations for our benefit and for our good. And so here, Esther ends up becoming the queen, a beautiful woman, and certainly she has an opportunity to speak to the king, and there's a twist of the plot, and ultimately what happens is Haman, who was putting together these gallows to hang Mordecai on, he ends up being hanged on the gallows himself. And I just wanted to read a couple of passages here from my old pastor friend, Dr. J. Vernon McGee. Many of you may be familiar with him. I say friend, but I never knew him. I just used to listen to him quite a bit. He was on what they call the Bible bus. And I used to pay attention to him quite a bit, and I thought it was always interesting to the way that he taught. But one of the things that he mentions here, and this is a direct quote from him, says, "Providence is the means by which God directs all things, both animate and inanimate, seen and unseen, good and evil, toward a worthy purpose, which means his will must finally prevail." I think it's incredible because, in Ephesians 1, verse 11, Paul tells us that God worketh all things after the counsel of his own will. So God is running the universe. And like I said before, whether you believe it or not, he is. And as my mom always says, the sun's going to come up tomorrow in the east. It's going to settle in the west. And there's a design and there's a rhythm and everything has a place. And it's so intelligently designed and orchestrated. It's just so beautiful, God's creation. So the providence is the way that God is directing everything, and he's moving us in as we move down this time-space continuum. As we move into the future, we don't know what tomorrow brings, or we don't know what the next second brings, but he does. He sees it from start to finish. Remember what Abraham said on the top of Mount Moriah when he and his son Isaac had gone to the mountain to sacrifice to God? They had everything they needed except a sacrifice. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham, his father, and said, "My father." He said, here am I, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, God will provide. God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both on them together. Genesis 22, 7-8. 1900 years later, God provided a lamb on the same mountain ridge that goes through Jerusalem, if I can speak tonight. On the cross at Calvary, Christ was crucified there. He was the Lamb of God that was provided. So providence means that the hand of God is in the glove of human events. This is Dr. J. Vernon McGee speaking again. When God isn't at the steering wheel, he is the backseat driver. He's the coach who calls the signals from the bench. Providence is the unseen rudder on the ship of state. God is the pilot at the wheel during the night watch. And as someone once said, he makes great doors swing on little hinges. God brought together a little baby's cry and a woman's heart down by the river Nile when Pharaoh's daughter went to bathe. The Lord pinched little Moses and he let out a yell. The cry reached the heart of a princess, and God used it to change the destiny of a people. That was providence then. God's hand at work. It's providence now. And so to my friend, Big Al, who is recovering, I'm grateful to the Lord. I want to thank him tonight. And for all of you that have been praying for Al as well. Just a little opportunity to talk about the book of Esther tonight and God's providence. And it's such a wonderful assurance knowing that he is in charge of every single aspect of our life. So that's today's soulful moment. Let me read the scripture for today as well. This is Esther chapter 4, verse 14. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther 4, verse 14. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed that tonight. I'm going to be trying to switch things up just a little bit here. As I said, when I'm in the studio by myself, I have a little bit more flexibility, if you will, of trying to put some content together. But what I really want to do, because this is really an opportunity for our listeners to participate more. Some of you might be afraid. I don't know. I don't want to call in. You know, there's chat. We're on Rumble. We're on Facebook. And we're on YouTube. So if you have something that's on your mind, you can always throw it in the chat. And it pops up here on my screen. I'm able to see the live chat. Or you can just call in here into the studio and have a conversation. And that's really what this platform is all about. We may not always agree, but I'm going to provide you with the ability to at least share your side of the story, share your opinion. And if we can come to an agreement, then fantastic. If not, then I will appreciate that that's your side of the story. And just like our rights guaranteed here in this great United States, that's your First Amendment right. And we're going to defend that regardless if we disagree. You can always call in here in the studio tonight, back to the old number, 843-800-1492. Would love to hear from you tonight. So what's going on here in this crazy Friday evening? Oh, there's plenty to talk about, certainly. Oh, COVID-19. I'm telling you, here locally, thankfully, they had decided that they weren't going to have another mask mandate for Beaufort County here locally. I always say it's kind of interesting how the news cycle works. One of the other things I've noticed is there hasn't been much mention of the Delta variant. Remember the news cycle for quite a while. That's all we heard about. Delta, Delta, Delta. And now it seems to be subsiding somewhat. 2,700 new COVID cases and 98 deaths supposedly in California. I'm sorry, Carolina. We'll see. You know, it's always interesting what these elected officials decide to do. But here locally, so the Beaufort County School District will not require students and staff to wear masks. The school board decided Thursday in a 4-5-1 vote. So Christina Gouds, Tricia Fidrick, Rachel Wisniewski, Richard Geyer, and Angela Middleton voted no. Ingrid Boatwright abstained, saying she still lacked legal guidance on the motion. 13 members of the public showed up, 5 masked and 8 unmasked. I guess they had to throw that in there. Meeting was relatively calm. This is from the Island Packet here. Other than one moment where masked opponents clapped and Geyer asked them to stop. Several board members expressed confusion over dueling opinions released by state and federal courts this week. On Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Mayor Mary Geiger Lewis placed a temporary restraining order, pausing a state law aimed at preventing school districts from requiring masks. She wrote that the law, which expires after 1 year and states that any school or district that requires masks for students or staff will lose state funding, discriminates against students with disabilities. So I told my wife the other night, I said, these folks, it reminds me of somebody chasing, a dog chasing its tail around, this circuitous evolution where it just goes round and round and we don't really make any progress. I think it's time to get back to educating our kids. I've got 2 teenagers that are in high school, and they just want to do their schoolwork and get back to with their social life. So for the past, 18, 19 months or so, it's been kind of topsy-turvy, and it's been a challenge for, I think, each one of us. So we'll see what happens. That's the local front here. I did see something out in California, right? California to require a COVID-19 vaccine for students to attend schools. Yeah, Gavin Newsom's up to some new tricks here. The government has fully approved the COVID-19 vaccine for individuals ages 16 and older, meaning all upper-class high school students will need to be fully vaccinated to attend both public and private schools. I wonder how many parents are going to pull their kids out of school. I mean, it seems rather odd that you would force students who really are at such a low risk for not only having complications with COVID-19, but early on, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they say that they weren't going to, they were very minimal in terms of having any type of transmission or carriers, if you will? And again, folks, we're dealing with a virus here where 99% of the people recover on their own. It's really it's not an issue whatsoever. So that's the COVID-19 thing. I don't want to beat a dead horse tonight, but that's kind of one of the main news stories here. We'll have to be following that a little bit more. And then we got this whole orchestration of this infrastructure bill. The government didn't shut down, obviously. They were able to get that spending. I think it's a stopgap to keep them open, keep the lights on through December. But at any rate, I think we're just going to have to pay attention to this. Do you have the feeling it's like, did they get anything? Is it like a stalemate? Supposedly the Democrats are in charge up there, or they have the majority. And we've got a lot of rhino Republicans as well. But do you ever get the sense it's like the same old, that they just kick the can down the road and nothing ever is really being solved? That's kind of my feeling as of late. It's just unfortunate because it's so agonizing to watch them spend our money, your money, my money, our taxpayers' dollars, and in trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. What are we, almost $30 trillion in debt? We're bankrupt, folks. That's the issue here. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? This is the best place to be, at least for now. I mean, they can't continue to take away our liberties and our freedoms, but we're going to keep plowing ahead, folks. This country is still worth fighting for standing up for doing what's right for. So I don't get on Fox News very much, but I just brought it up tonight. So one of the things is I had all my stuff prepared for this evening because I wanted to have 3 or 4 big talking points. And then I got a call from my wife, and she said that she can't find the file that she was looking for because she had dragged it. Supposedly it was my fault. She dragged it into her. If you use an Apple computer or a MacBook, you know that you have the little trash icon in the lower right-hand portion of your dock. When you drag files in there or send it to the trash can, you're good. But if you empty your trash, it's not so good. So I was in the studio prepping. I had to go home and spend about an hour and a half. I haven't found the file yet, but I will. So anyways, I'm not blaming my wife. It's the reality with all this stuff. It's don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all just small stuff, right? And that's really the truth about all this stuff here. So what's going on with everyone this weekend? What are your plans? What do you have happening? Can't believe this is the end of another week, start of a fresh month. You know, October here in the Low Country, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite times of the year. Yesterday, I was outside, and I was just working my tail off. Had to clean off the house, do a little pressure washing. There was so much that needed to be done. But the thing I was most excited about is in our backyard, we have this fire pit and some new furniture that I wanted to be able to at least enjoy. So I was getting everything prepped. And now as we get a little bit further into October, the nights are just absolutely beautiful. And I love the fact that the next few days are going to be gorgeous. And so I might have an opportunity to sit out and have a cocktail or warm drink and watch the fire. Tomorrow I'll be heading up to watch the Gamecocks, so a little bit of football tomorrow, and that'll be nice, some family time, an opportunity to spend some one-on-one time with my son, and we'll go up and watch the football game tomorrow. Should be pretty good. But that's another thing here that we have going on is a little bit of sports and some other activity. How about you? What are your leisure activities? What are you up to this weekend? Love to hear from you tonight. 843-800-1492. Don't be a stranger. Don't be shy. I don't bite. And we'll have a chance to talk about anything under the sun that you'd like to. We're coming up on the first break. I want to say thank you for listening to TalkOne Radio this evening. Just as we come back through break, we're going to talk a little bit more of the national news, some of the things that are happening. And hopefully we'll be having some conversations with some folks that aren't going to be afraid to comment. So let's go ahead to break, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Thanks for listening to Talk One Radio.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat and eat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with Talk One Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
Vineyard Assisted Living is a nurturing community with customized care, programming, and amenities that aim to engage and inspire. At Vineyard, we don't just care for you, we care about you, which is why we personalize our programming and care levels to each resident's passions and needs, stimulating mind, body, and soul. Find out more about how you or your loved one can thrive at Vineyard. Email info@vineyardbluffton.com or call 843-612-0700.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Looking for a barbershop with a traditional feel? Well, look no further. Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop is the Low Country's place to receive a top quality haircut or straight razor shave. You'll enjoy a family environment where everyone is welcomed and the refreshments are on the house. Joe's is located at 23 Johnston Way in Bluffton and open 7 days a week. For old school service and quality, makes Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop your go-to place for the finest haircut and shave in the Low Country. Call 843-757-5637 or visit www.joesclassiccuts.com today for your next appointment.
Are you an entrepreneur with a business idea but just need a little help getting it off the ground? Well, the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help entrepreneurs succeed and innovative companies grow. As a nonprofit organization, they provide resources and experienced guidance to successfully launch and grow your business. Contact them today to see how they can help at 843-540-0405 or visit their website at donryancenter.com. The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
Yeah, that's right. Back in the saddle with Zapper. Minus my compadre, Big Al Flowers. Missing him tonight. Hey, listen, folks, thanks for tuning in here on a Friday evening. TalkOne Radio. So happy to be able to share what's going on here locally in the Low Country and abroad. I was just reading this news article. This is the Gateway Pundit. I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time talking this evening. Clown show. Joe Biden offers to take questions from members of Democrat caucus, but his aides jump in and stop him. Oh, my goodness. We got to share this article. Let's see if we can do this here. Amazing. Let's bring this Chrome tab up for you so you can see this here. Joe Biden was forced to scramble to Capitol Hill Friday afternoon to discuss the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill currently stuck in the House. Biden barely works, so for him to make a trip up the hill on Friday afternoon to meet with the House Democrat caucus just shows how desperate he is to make something happen. Before going into the meeting, Joe Biden grabs Nancy Pelosi's hand like a nursing home patient and assured bystanders the deal would eventually get done. We're going to get this done, right? Let's see here.
Come on, man. Get a life.
Yeah, that's what he said. Come on, man. It doesn't matter whether it's in 6 minutes, 6 days, or 6 weeks. We're going to get it done. I'm telling you what. I think the title says it all, though. Clown show. You know, as I was saying before I went to the break, it just seems like these people are this establishment, and I mean that true for most, not all, 90% of the politicians out there, they just don't seem to really care about anything other than themselves. We're just the peons, if you will, the commoners. This oligarchy that has established itself over the last several decades seems to just be able to do whatever they feel, they're untouchable. We can do whatever we want, how we want, and forget about the constituents that we serve or the oath that we took. We're just going to do whatever we want to do. And I think it's unfortunate because this is just another story to show that, here we are, this infrastructure bill, which, by the way, is it really dealing with infrastructure? No. But these are the issues that, we have to confront now And there's no hiding the fact that it's unfortunate that these people up in Congress don't ever seem to move anything forward in a real meaningful way. And it's sad. I'm trying to stay positive here. I'm hoping that you are as well. I think we've been through this now for so long. And especially after, last year. Like I said, we started out with this COVID stuff, really kind of shook us up a little bit. We were, I think, initially all somewhat skeptical. What is going on here? And the further we got down along that path, we realized that, maybe we're not being told the full story. And I think that's kind of where we've left it, is we're still trying to wonder out, okay, what's the origin of this virus, number one? And are there early therapeutics or treatments that could potentially stave off hospitalization? And I think you know the answer to that question. In fact, I didn't have a chance to listen to the full broadcast. Kudos to my friend Tracy Beans and Frank and Beans over at their podcast, Dark to Light. If you haven't checked them out, folks, hoping to have Tracy on the program again here pretty soon. They just do an outstanding job on their podcast. But they had some folks on. Well, actually, Dr. Zelenko, am I pronouncing that right? On today, and he was talking about the whole concept of the early therapeutics, and specifically was hydroxychloroquine to start off. Remember that whole debacle when President Trump talked about it, and then it was just like kind of went bye-bye. So, I think there's a lot of information out there, at least more than enough. There's Frontline Doctors and some of the others. We've had an opportunity to at least look at this situation where you have early therapeutics to treat, why the hospitals aren't using them. I don't know why there we go. Wasn't focusing properly. Some of the protocols and the guidelines for these particular healthcare organizations that aren't using early therapeutics or drug interventions to be able to treat, especially those folks that are, progressing in the disease after they contracted the virus, the respiratory illnesses, and so on and so forth. It can become very serious. But as we know, as I mentioned earlier, most folks do just fine. Fox News. Biden pitches new price tag for socialist spending bill to progressives as reps predict no deal tonight. I haven't had a chance to take a look at any of the videos here. Says Jayapal, bipartisan bill is not happening tonight. I'm assuming that's one of the progressive left folks. Speaking to reporters, this is Fox News. After a closed-door meeting with Progressive Caucus, Democrat Representative Pramila Jayapal, who serves as the chair of the caucus, told reporters that the bipartisan bill is not happening tonight. Well, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to say that. Jayapal also insisted that President Biden is going to stay very involved in moving negotiations forward, saying that if we're going to think about anything less than the number of what we would rather do is get as many things in as possible and shorten timelines. I don't know. I almost don't want to talk about politics tonight. I would love to hear somebody call in with something other than politics. Do you ever feel like sometimes it's just so overwhelming? It's like no matter where you turn, there's some other issue that's popped up, like a whack-a-mole. You just got to keep hitting these things. They keep popping up everywhere. And that's unfortunate. Hey, real quick, this day in history, I found this to be pretty amazing. 1957, this day in history, the first appearance of "In God We Trust" on our U.S. paper currency. I thought it was a lot longer. It was before that. So 1957, "In God We Trust" started appearing on U.S. paper currency, which I think is great. we do trust in God. We're one nation under God. And anybody that tries to tell you there's got to be a separation between church and state, they haven't done their history lesson very much. Probably heard about, as we move on to some other news, the Marine Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, he's in the brig. On Monday, Marine Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller was arrested and sent to the brig after he publicly excoriated Biden's leadership over the United States catastrophic It must be the microphone. The United States catastrophic evacuation from Afghanistan that left 13 service members dead and several more critically injured, among countless other atrocities. There's a clip here that I wanted to have an opportunity to play. It was on Tucker Carlson the other night. And let's see if we can dial this in here. Sorry, folks, this is taking a little bit longer. Like I said, usually it's nice because Al's here and I just have this all dialed up and we're ready to go. But that's not the case tonight. Let's see if we can do this. Here we go.
A system has to be accountable. And as of tonight, there's only one man in the entire U.S. government who is being punished for the failure, the catastrophic failure in Afghanistan. Just one man. His name is Stu Scheller. He is Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Marine Corps. He is an honorable and honest man. He is also blameless. Scheller had no role in any of these decisions. What was his crime? His crime was criticizing those decisions. In August, he posted this video on the internet.
If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise. And I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, a strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone?
So that's an honorable man you just saw on the screen. That's a man who's in it for the right reasons, not to get promoted or work at Lockheed, but because he cares about the country and wants to defend it. There's a man who believed in his superiors, who is not cynical, who is genuinely confused by his superiors' unwillingness to admit their own error. His confusion comes from decency. And almost immediately, his superiors reacted to that video. They didn't apologize for the disaster. They didn't explain why they did what they did. They punished Scheller. They relieved him of his command, and they told him to shut up and stop talking. But he didn't stop talking. Here's how he responded.
To recap my position in the fallout of Afghanistan, I demanded accountability of my senior leaders. And I stated then that I understood that I might lose my battalion commander seat, my retirement, and my family stability. As it has played out, I have in fact lost all three of those things. Would I do it again? I don't know. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, and I was the only officer in the entire American coalition fired in the debacle of Afghanistan fallout. I acknowledge that I should have been fired. However, the hypocrisy of the general officers who are not being held to the same standard is a microcosm for the entire problem that is going to bring down the great institutions of this republic that we love.
So that's the man you want serving in your officer corps in a serious country. A person who takes his job seriously, who's patriotic, who's honest, who demands accountability. And before you say, well, it's the military, they don't have freedom of speech, you're not allowed to give a political statement. 2 points. One, that was not an explicitly political statement. In contrast, 2.2, the endless number of openly partisan statements from the leaders of the Pentagon. Mark Milley was openly thrilled by the election of Joe Biden. Was he punished for that? No, he was elevated. And Congress, again, just rewarded him and the entire leadership of the U.S. military with $24 extra billion. But Stu Scheller, for telling the truth? Well, here's what happened to him. Military brass forced Stu Scheller to undergo a psychological evaluation because only a crazy person would ask for accountability after the disaster in Afghanistan. And then when he wouldn't admit he was crazy, they threw him in prison, in jail, where he sits tonight. Scheller's father has released this statement explaining that his son is now behind bars with violent criminals. And how long is he there? He's there indefinitely. This is happening tonight in America. Here's a quote from his father. All our son did is ask the question that everybody was asking themselves, but they were too scared to speak out loud. He was asking for accountability. In fact, I think he even asked for an apology that we made mistakes. But they couldn't do that, which is mind-blowing. They had a gag order on him and asked him not to speak. He did speak, and they incarcerated him. They don't know what to do with him. It's one of the worst stories of our time, and there are a lot of bad stories right now. Tony Busby is one of the lawyers representing Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller. He joins us tonight. Mr. Busby, thanks so much for defending this man and for coming on the show tonight. So if we misstated anything, is he in jail right now?
He's sitting in jail right now with no formal charges against him. Supposedly, there's supposed to be a hearing on Thursday, but he doesn't even know what he's charged with. Of course, he still remains under this illegal gag order.
So this story broke, I think, last night. In that time, how many members of Congress have reached out to you to say we will no longer approve a single promotion in the U.S. military until this prisoner of conscience is freed? A lot?
None. And I tell you what's more infuriating is that today we had testimony in the Senate where they tried to make the case that the withdrawal was an operational success. It's not a success, of course, to the 13 families who lost loved ones. And when somebody tried to speak out and say, look, we could have done a lot better. We owed these Marines and sailors and Army personnel better than that. They not only told him to shut up, when he didn't shut up, they put him in jail.
He's a married man with children?
He's a married man, yes, with children. And I would say his spirits are high. The support, not of course congressional support, but the support that we have received, that he has received, that his family has received, has been overwhelming. People see this for what it is. They see this from the top brass trying to shirk responsibility. And when somebody in the chain of command speaks up, they're silenced. And we can do better than that. This is a man who is a 17-year Marine, a Marine officer, an infantry officer, just like I was, a guy whose conscience required him to speak out. And the American military, and specifically the United States Marine Corps, the entity that I love so much, has put him in jail for that. And people are just coming together all over the United States. The Pipe Hitter organization, the foundation, has raised already $200,000 for his defense. This is wrong and will not stand.
You think of all those members of Congress who served 6 months in the JAG Corps somewhere and brag about their military service and how they're for the troops and here are $24 billion extra, saying not one word about this honorable man who is the best of America rotting in jail with criminals tonight for telling the truth. It's beyond belief. It's disgusting. And I appreciate, Tony Busby, your defense of him, and I hope you'll come back.
So what do you think of that? 17-year decorated Marine officer, combat veteran. Now, I may not agree with the manner in which he stated his opinion. He still is in the armed services. I applaud him for making a stand. I don't necessarily know if it was the right form. There is hypocritical reasoning behind all this. I mean, if you've watched it in the news with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, I mean, these folks, they just kind of seem to have shirked their responsibilities. Like I said, I don't think they even know what the heck's, which end is up. It appears to be that way. And so you have this 17-year veteran Marine Corps officer who calls into question the accountability of the leadership. And they give him a psychological evaluation. They end up putting him in the brig. I'll have to get some of the latest news tidbits. I had that from Wednesday night that I wanted to play. We never had a chance to play it. So what do you think, folks? I want to hear from you on this. Do you think he could have handled it differently? Or do you think he should be applauded for his courage to come forward and say, hey, something's not right? And we all know something is not right. You know, when you serve in the military in an all volunteer force, you put your life on the line. So maybe he's just asking for those leaders, those that are in charge over him. Now, again, he's an 05 here, an officer 5th grade, which is a lieutenant colonel. 06 is colonel, full bird. Those that have served, I'd like to hear from you. Or those that are parents of members currently serving, I'd like to hear from you. What if that was your son or daughter, spouse, and thrown in the brig? I don't know. Folks, we're still open for business here. I'm a little bit slow tonight. I apologize for that. Must be just trying to get everything squared away. I need to take a deep breath, maybe have another cup of coffee. We're going to go to another break here in just a few minutes. I'm reading some of the local news here. This is unbelievable. Those that are listening here in Beaufort County, this is the Island Packet. I'm going to change it up to something a little bit different. Man charged after stealing ambulance. Crashing into Publix on Hilton Head, police say. Oh, my goodness. The Hilton Head man is accused of stealing an ambulance, fleeing from police, and crashing into Publix on the south end of the island, according to the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Well, I can't wait to talk to Major Bob about this one. Carlos Colon, 20 of Hilton Head, 20-year-old, was charged on Friday with 1 count of grand larceny, 1 count of failure to stop for blue lights, and 1 count of petit larceny. The sheriff's office said Colon, I think that's how you say his name, stole a Hilton Head fire rescue ambulance while wearing a fire rescue uniform around 1 p.m. on Friday. Half an hour later, deputies were on the lookout for the stolen ambulance when they saw him driving it near Shelter Cove. I guess he decided to take it out for a little joyride. The pursuit wound through the side streets and onto the parking lot of the Publix off of Palmetto Bay Road near Sea Pines, and he crashed into the Publix building. Hopefully, no one was injured. It looks like minor damage to the ambulance. Okay, yeah, no injuries were reported. Thank the Lord for that. They said we're going back to review all of our security measures to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. Yeah, I wonder how we got the ambulance. Thank you, Jake Shore, for reporting that. Island Packet. Crazy. Unbelievable. And the audacity for someone to jump behind the wheel of an ambulance and take it for a joyride. I couldn't do that. I just can't see myself ever doing anything like that. I think the only time I've ever gotten in trouble was when I was, I don't know, well, it was before 18 years old because it was a curfew violation. And I was out past curfew with a few buddies. I think we were going to go do some, toilet papering of some people's yards. Not a good thing to do, especially if you live out in the country. You never know who's packing. You hear that rack of the slide of the shotgun, you know you're in trouble. But I got pulled over, and I think it was local sheriff, handcuffed and put in the back of the cruiser. And for whatever, I can't remember why I didn't have to call my father. I think it was because my buddy's mom, I don't know if that's even possible. Well, again, it's like backwoods, country town. But they released me on my own recognizance or with the mother. And I ended up, having to go with my father to some social worker that, I was a bad boy because I was out past curfew. Well, I was trying to toilet paper homes. But I think that was my only run-in with law enforcement over my 51 years of living this life, which I'm thankful for. But we do appreciate all of our first responders, law enforcement, military, veterans. We love you all. Folks, we're coming up on another break. I need to take a break, get some more coffee, look at what else is happening. Do me a big favor. If you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, would you like or share, comment, hit that bell? We're also live now on Rumble. We're up on Telegram, but because I was busy yesterday and didn't have time really to take a look at most of the social media, I didn't post much. But if you go to Telegram and type in TalkOne Radio, you should be able to find the Telegram. Starting to post more things on there, as well as going live on Rumble. And Rumble, you have to find us. There were 2 channels. I think Al had TalkOne Radio, and then it's just TalkOne. That's where we're currently live streaming, and it's the best way to check it out. No throttling there whatsoever, although my mom did text me earlier saying there were some issues with Rumble. I just don't have my other screen up. I've got this new camera running, new machine, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you call in if you have the opportunity. 843-800-1492. We'll be taking your calls. And we're going to take a quick break here in about 3.5, 4 minutes. We'll be right back in the saddle right here on a Friday night. TalkOne Radio. You're listening to the TalkOne Radio Network. Zapper will be right back.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat and eat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with TalkOne Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
Vineyard Assisted Living is a nurturing community with customized care, programming, and amenities that aim to engage and inspire. At Vineyard, we don't just care for you, we care about you, which is why we personalize our programming and care levels to each resident's passions and needs, stimulating mind, body, and soul. Find out more about how you or your loved one can thrive at Vineyard. Email info@vineyardbluffton.com or call 843-612-0700.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Looking for a barbershop with a traditional feel? Well, look no further. Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop is the Low Country's place to receive a top quality haircut or straight razor shave. You'll enjoy a family environment where everyone is welcomed and the refreshments are on the house. Joe's is located at 23 Johnston Way in Bluffton and open 7 days a week. For old school service and quality, makes Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop your go-to place for the finest haircut and shave in the Low Country. Call 843-757-5637 or visit www.joesclassiccuts.com today for your next appointment.
Are you an entrepreneur with a business idea but just need a little help getting it off the ground? Well, the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help entrepreneurs succeed and innovative companies grow. As a nonprofit organization, they provide resources and experience guidance to successfully launch and grow your business. Contact them today to see how they can help at 843-540-0405 or visit their website at donryancenter.com. The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio, TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
That's right, folks. Friday night, just shy of 8 p.m. Eastern Time. TalkOne Radio live, broadcasting here from our studios in Bluffton, South Carolina. Big shout out to my brother, Big Al Flowers. If you didn't hear the first part, Al's doing well. Talked to the producer today, his wife, and she mentioned that the good news is not only did the procedure go well, but it was only a single bypass. So he didn't have to have the triple bypass, which is wonderful news. It's incredible. Thanking the Lord for that. And thank you for all the folks out there that were lifting him up, and please continue to lift him up for speedy recovery so he can get back to normal. I know he was really working hard, working out, for EFIT, which we're going to do some reads here next, but he was doing incredibly well, and he's just a great guy, and we're grateful for the fact that he's going to be fine, and it looks like it's going to be, it wasn't as bad as what they had initially thought. So just want to shout out to Al, because I know he'll get a chance to listen to this. Sorry, I'm bumbling so much tonight on this. It's a little more challenging when you're trying to make sure everything's going to run smoothly. So listen, folks, we got a couple reads I need to do here. First, I wanted to shout out to Steve and Lucinda Martinez for what they do. They regularly call in, and I know that they, as well as their church, have been lifting up Al. And I just want to say thank you to both of you for what you continue to do. But Wounded Spirits is the way that God has directed them. And you're probably wondering, what's Wounded Spirits? Well, it's a great opportunity. It's a biblical approach to dealing with the effects of post-traumatic stress. And these are free workshops, folks. Tomorrow is the next session, session 9, moral injury, self-harm, and self-handicapping. So I don't know if it's too late, but you can certainly call this number, this cell number. If you're out there and you'd like to attend this session at Wounded Spirits, call this cell number, 703-606-3858. And Steve and Lucinda, they're fantastic. They're going to take care of you. Again, these workshops are free. Location is at the Beaufort Town Center Building, 2015 Boundary Street, Beaufort, South Carolina. So make sure that you check out Wounded Spirits. Their website, if you'd like to find out more information, you just go to SLM, like Steve, Lucinda, Martinez, SLMwoundedspirits.com. Again, the phone number, 703-606-3858. As I was just talking about Al and his fitness, where does he go? EFIT Club, right there. Change your fitness, change your life. Over in the Belfair Town Village. If you go over there, see Jay or any of the other staff members, tell them that TalkOne Radio, Big Al sent you, and you get a 7-day free pass. Their number is 843-707-9771. Modern gym, cardio, small group classes, personal training, strength training. They've got it all. It's right over in the Belfair Town Village. So if you here in Bluffton, it's the older Kroger. And you can go check them out. Give them a call if you have questions, 843-707-9771. Hey, next Friday, out in Ridgeland, there's the big Hootenanny. October 8th, Concert for the Heroes, featuring Walker Montgomery and others, Ted DiBiase Jr., and there's a whole host of folks that are going to be out there, JR and Stephanie, who have Operation Patriots FOB. That's opfob.org. Go check them out. You can buy tickets right there on their website. So they're going to have a big concert. You can buy VIP tickets. They're going to do it right. It's actually a multi-day event. August. I'd like to think it's still August. October 6th through the 10th, over in Ridgeland, Operation Patriots, FOB. Check them out for the big event next Friday, October 8th. And they're going to have a big concert, knock down, drag out, big hootenanny. You want to check them out. Last but certainly not least, our friends at striketeam.org. Listen, if you're struggling, you're a veteran, you need somebody to talk to, these are the folks that you want to talk to. They're local, just down on the other side of the bridge down in the Savannah area. And these folks, they serve others, and they do an incredible job. So if you're having issues, any issues whatsoever, and you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, you need some help, you can reach out to Strike Team. That's Strike Team with a Y. Their phone number, 912-712-6661. Or you can visit striketeam.org. That's STRYKE team.org. Striketeam.org. Give them a call, 912-712-6661. Excuse me. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us for those reads. I'm sorry. I had to grab another cup of coffee because I was running around. I needed a little bit amp up for the energy. I know it's kind of quiet tonight. Not too many people. No one's even putting anything down in the chat. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's something else happening. I don't even know it. The world could be ending outside, and I wouldn't even know. Right now, it's so quiet in here. In fact, when I came into the studio tonight, everyone was gone. Everybody had left. Usually, there's a couple people, and get a chance to catch up and say hello to everybody. But for some reason, I guess maybe they're out doing something. What's happening this weekend? What's going on? What do you know? Oh, here we go. January 6th. Breaking: FBI arrests retired Green Beret Jeremy Brown for attending January 6th protests. Let's see what this says. This is the Gateway Pundit. Jeremy Brown's a Green Beret and former Republican candidate for Congress in Florida's 14th Congressional District. Brown served in the United States Army from 1992 to 2012 and reached the rank of Special Forces Master Sergeant. He also attended the Stop the Steal protest in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. He joined the Oath Keepers in November and went to Washington, D.C. to provide security at the many protests and rallies that week. Well, last March, Jeremy Brown started speaking out about how the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, the JTTF, contacted him and attempted to recruit him to spy on patriots and everyday Americans. Can you believe that, folks? The FBI is trying to recruit someone to spy on other patriots? I know it's hard to believe. In December, FBI agents contacted Jeremy Brown at his home for posting some things online. They're always watching and listening. I'm sure I've got a target on my back now. Jeremy released video surveillance of the FBI contacting him at his home, and Jeremy released an audio recording of his actual meetup with the FBI. Jeremy struggled for months about whether or not to go public with this information, but according to his Facebook page, after listening to politicians and the FBI Director Chris Wray tell lie after bald-faced lie to the American people, he couldn't stay silent any longer. So he decided his desire to protect and defend the American people and the truth, capital letters, are more important than privacy and personal safety. Boy, isn't that the truth? You know, when the censorship started really hard earlier this year, you remember people were getting deplatformed. The thought police were in full force. FaceMac, ScrewTube, and others. I mean, if you went against the mainstream narrative, you were censored, ridiculed, fact-checked, all of this stuff. And here's this guy that said, you know what? I'm going to speak the truth. And honestly, I think that's wonderful. That's what I'm trying to do here, folks. Am I perfect? Far from it. No way. Not even close. I've got a lot of issues just like you, but I'm not your mother. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I am going to speak the truth in love, and I'm going to try to do my best and do what's right. And I love the fact that more and more Americans are starting to stand up and to speak truth. So many of us have been asleep for so many years. We just kind of fell asleep at the wheel thinking that these elected officials were going to do what they were supposed to do, when most of them were just lining their own pockets or being influenced by special interests, money, and NGOs, and some evil people, honestly, the George Soroses of the world, and people that are greedy and love that power and influence. But when you decide to speak the truth and pursue the truth no matter what, because you will be ostracized and you will be attacked, it happens. Look at all these things from January 6th. We know that a lot of these, was it Revolver News, I think is what he was initially reporting, as that whole Gretchen Whitmire plot. 12 of the 18 folks were FBI agents, informants, unindicted co-conspirators. You can't make this up. So, that's one of those things that when you start to speak the truth, or if you're over the target, you're going to catch a lot of flack. And it's the truth. You're going to be opposed. And if you're a Christian, watch out. Doesn't mean that you should be fearful. Doesn't mean that you should stop. Again, keep seeking, pursuing the truth, speaking the truth in love. And obviously, the manner in which you do it has a lot to say about your character. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I know there's also evil and some bad people in this world. So you got to be discerning. You got to be street smart, kind of a street smart Christian. Hey, there's a good book that I want to plug for my good friend, Steve Brown. If you haven't listened to him, you can go to keylife.org. I've been listening to Steve probably since, I don't know, mid-2000, somewhere around there. I used to be on the road quite a bit. And so when I had a lot of windshield time, back in the day, it was CD-ROMs or DVDs or whatever. And then later it was MP3. And I think when the iPhone finally came out was that 2007, 2008. Then you could just do the podcasts and all that stuff. And that was pretty cool. But Steve is an incredible teacher. You can go to keylife.org. He also does Steve Brown, et cetera. I use one of his phrases, I must be a fruitcake. And the other thing that I love is, which I've really learned more from Steve, is you can only love once you've been loved, and then only to the degree with which you've been loved. And I think Steve will probably tell you, I think he heard that from one of his friends, or I can't remember whoever's, but it sticks in my mind because, again, it's a reminder of God's love for you and for me. So I'm far from perfect, but I try to speak the truth and give folks the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's what you should be doing as well. And if you are over the target, expect a lot of flack. The whole concept with this January 6th, what transpired at the end of last year, that whole selection, I don't call it an election, it was rigged. And I don't care whether you've got an R or a D behind your name. If you're not demanding to investigate what the heck transpired on November 3rd, then you're part of the problem. And I'm not ashamed to say that. You're part of the problem. You're part of the establishment, oligarchy, these commies, and you've got to go. But we've got to fix. We can't be talking about, we got to move to 2022. We've got to fix what transpired on November 3rd, 2020. Talking about the news cycle of this, you notice how the shift, the move over into a different news cycle was I think it was last Friday. I mean, just a week ago, folks, we saw the report from Maricopa County, Arizona. And have we been talking about it since then? No. I mean, here and there. There's all these other things, it's the infrastructure bill and debt ceiling and all these other little things, these little fires that come up. And I'm not saying that those are less important, but if we don't have free, fair, and transparent elections in the United States, we are worse than a banana republic. And my biggest fear is, well, I'm surmising that based on what we've seen thus far and how fraudulent in Maricopa County alone, I'm thinking that it must be pretty rampant across all 50 states. And I can tell you that having an opportunity to see some analytics, as I mentioned before here on this program, my buddy Seth Keschel, if you follow Seth on Telegram, and I love the way he speaks the truth. There's a lot of videos out there, and he's done a lot of analytics. He's a former Army intelligence officer. He's an analyst, and he's gone through the data for the election data, open source data, and he's looked at all of these strange anomalies, and he's created a heat map. You can go to Telegram, look up Seth Keschel, Keshel, Captain Seth Keschel, former Army captain, and he's done an incredible job. He's just one of many. I mean, we've heard it from Mike Lindell. We've heard from Colonel Phil Waldron, other these experts about the machines, and then we've talked about the data, and then we've looked at even next door, our neighbors in Georgia, all the nefarious stuff that's been happening there with the ballots. Remember that? The stopping of there was the water main break there in Atlanta, Fulton County. I mean, just never ending. So the people that are standing up for truth, my friend Helen Spalding, by the way, here locally, she stood up. What happened to her? Well, she was let go from the board of election, not board of elections. What is it? The elections board, the Beaufort Elections Board. Yeah, why? Because she had a rally. I should say she helped coordinate a rally that had a bunch of patriots. Lynn Wood, Seth Keschel was there, Jaron Jackson, John DeLemme. My wife spoke there too. And what happens? They the Beaufort Council, they decided to let her go. And you can watch the archive here on our on our studio station. You can go back and look at YouTube, all that. We actually just had her in the studio. I think it was last Monday. It was a great show. In fact, I might as well go ahead and let the cat out of the bag right now, as we're coming up on another break here in another 5 minutes or so. So this will give me a good segue into it, and we come back and round third and head home on this Friday evening. So I just confirmed it today. Next Wednesday, which is the 6th, we're going to have a live chat. It's going to be Lynn Wood and friends here live on TalkOne Radio. We're going to have Helen and Lynn, and I don't know who else is going to be here. It might be a magical surprise. But we're going to have an opportunity to sit and chat and talk about a variety of things that this country is facing, this great nation, and how we work through them. If you're not familiar with Lynn Wood, I don't know where you've been hiding. Maybe somebody needs to wake you up or have another cup of coffee with me here. Lynn's been practicing law for over 40 years. Richard Jewell, you probably are familiar with that. The Centennial Park bombing back in 1996, falsely accused by the FBI. Lynn's a fighter. He's a Christian. And he's one whom, when he speaks, you need to listen. He, swirling dust wherever he goes, stirs up the controversy. And I love him, and I'm grateful for his time that he's going to be able to chat with us, and certainly for my friend Helen. And so that's going to be next week, folks, right here on TalkOne Radio. It'll be Lynn Wood and friends on TalkOne Radio. Not sure of the time yet. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Haven't nailed that down, but hopefully we'll have the normal time. It'll be at least 2 hours. I know I'm not going to interrupt Lynn Wood. So we're really grateful. We had General Michael Flynn on. Now we're going to have Lynn Wood on. We've got some other folks in the works as well. I do want to say that my friend James Charles Phillips, the Constitution Cowboy, I'm going to give a shout out to him right now. I had an opportunity to meet with him and get to know him a little bit up in Mount Pleasant a few weeks back. Actually, it was on my birthday. And we're kind of cut from the same cloth, man. And here's another great young man. Here's a veteran, a Marine, great father, great Christian man. And I'm just really honored to get to know his acquaintance and getting a chance to chat with him more and more. And we're going to hopefully have him on the program real soon. You can check him out on Telegram as well, Constitution Cowboy. So that's going to be pretty neat. I've got a couple other guests that I'm still working on as well, but we'll let you know about that. So very exciting. Lots of wonderful things coming up. Again, folks, this whole platform is all predicated on bringing people in so we can have real conversations to talk about things that are happening in our lives, in our country, and hopefully to provide some sort of useful information where I'm just not a talking head, because I do not want to be that. There's enough of those people out there today. I'd rather be sincere and authentic and have an opportunity to share some truth, maybe meaningful truth that might change your life or help impact you, at least in a positive way. So that's what TalkOne Radio is all about. And it requires some feedback and some input from you all. So that's why I'm saying, if you have an opportunity, you want to call in tonight, please do so. Our number here, 843-800-1492. Would be great to hear from you, see what's on your mind. All right, 821. A couple other things here to talk about. Let's see what's happening here in the news. Boy, what's happening in Australia is kind of scary, huh? Here's another one. Italian police stand down in solidarity with anti-vaccine mandates. I mean, it just seems like, over at Great Britain, down under in Australia. Although in Australia, I'm telling you what, that's tyranny. I mean, that's tyranny with a capital T, all capitals. Does make you wonder. I mean, I don't sit here and worry about all this stuff. I mean, I'm not an anxious person at all. But I'm a thinker, and I love to kind of scenario play. I'm a chess player, so I always have these scenarios in my head that I'm trying to work through and figure if this goes this way or that way, and then we plan this way, contingency and all that stuff. So I am always kind of thinking about that as I read some of these news articles. But down in Australia, man, it's just absolutely nutso there. Those poor folks don't have any way of defending themselves either. They gave up all their weapons. You could rest assured, the way that our government is headed, during Obama's presidency, that was the most incidents, gun incidents, killings that ever happened. I'm not trying to connect the dots there. I'm just saying I find it really strange. There was always an incident where they were trying to blame it on the guns. It's not the gun's fault. It isn't. If you've ever been around a weapon or knows how to use a weapon and been properly trained, it's another tool. It's another instrument. You could do the same thing with some other type of tool. But it seems like our federal folks are always trying to push, like a health crisis with the CDC, trying to get them involved. And maybe they're going to try to take, the Second Amendment is there for a reason, folks. It's not about hunting, by the way. So you just got to be careful, because we've had our liberties eroded slowly but surely, and we got to make a stand. We can't allow a runaway government to just, edict whatever they want. Say, hey, this is what you're going to be doing. That's not what what this country is about. So I just watch in awe when all these news reports come across, either whether it's Australia, but Central Europe, some of the things and protests that are happening there, civil disobedience. I think the same thing is going to be required here if we continue to see, and especially as our economy continues to go into the tank. We talked about it on Monday. These container ships, the major ports around the United States. It's a really sad state of affairs. I'd like to say it's coincidental, but I'm starting to believe that this is culmination of economic downturn with the coincidence of the invasion at the southern border, immigrants like Afghanis that are coming in, not being vetted, vaccine mandates for you, but not for the folks coming through at the southern border. And does that not make you question what in the heck is going on here? I think that's something we certainly have to pay attention to. I'm still hopeful. Some folks think that the military is going to come rushing in and save us. I don't see that happening. Not when you have somebody like a Lieutenant Colonel Scheller that's being thrown into the brig just for questioning authority. Unless I'm missing something. Prove me wrong. Call in and tell me what's on your mind. I think the only person or people that's going to solve this is we the people. When we remember we're a nation with a government, not a government with a nation, as Ronald Reagan said. We need to make sure that we are holding our elected officials accountable, and especially at the local level. You need to be actively engaged and involved at the local level. So that's all I can say about that. All right, folks, we're going to take another break here in just a minute. I appreciate you listening to me drone on tonight. Thanks for hanging in there. You're listening to TalkOne Radio. We will be back in just about 4 minutes. We're going to take one more break before we head to the finish, and then we'll climb into the weekend and call it a night. We'll be back in just a minute.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat and eat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with TalkOne Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
Vineyard Assisted Living is a nurturing community with customized care, programming, and amenities that aim to engage and inspire. At Vineyard, we don't just care for you, we care about you, which is why we personalize our programming and care levels to each resident's passions and needs, stimulating mind, body, and soul. Find out more about how you or your loved one can thrive at Vineyard. Email info@vineyardbluffton.com or call 843-612-0700.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Looking for a barbershop with a traditional feel? Well, look no further. Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop is the Low Country's place to receive a top quality haircut or straight razor shave. You'll enjoy a family environment where everyone is welcomed and the refreshments are on the house. Joe's is located at 23 Johnston Way in Bluffton and open 7 days a week. For old school service and quality, makes Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop your go-to place for the finest haircut and shave in the Low Country. Call 843-757-5637 or visit www.joesclassiccuts.com today for your next appointment.
Are you an entrepreneur with a business idea but just need a little help getting it off the ground? Well, the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help entrepreneurs succeed and innovative companies grow. As a nonprofit organization, they provide resources and experience guidance to successfully launch and grow your business. Contact them today to see how they can help at 843-540-0405 or visit their website at donryancenter.com. The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
Yeah. Straight up 8:30. TalkOne Radio here live, broadcasting from our studio in Bluffton, South Carolina. Beautiful low country evening out there tonight. Looking at the forecast right now. Going to be a low of about 68, 69 degrees. And looks like the weekend's going to be beautiful as well here in the low country. Sunday climbing up to 82. About 40% chance of rain. Mostly in the 80s for the next few days, which is pretty good. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, I mean, October is where you want to be in South Carolina is where you want to be because it's one of the most beautiful months of the year. We get those, in the evening times, it falls into sometimes the low 60s, high 50s, and in the daytime temperatures typically are, up in the high 70s, low 80s. It's spectacular. And even sometimes trickles into November. Do we have issues sometimes with the weather here? Yeah, sure. But I'll trade it off for, shoveling snow anytime. And I'm just going to be thankful because we haven't had any serious storms to worry about. Those named storms, hurricanes specifically. It was a kind of strange when we first moved here. The first couple years, we didn't have any. And then it was like year after year. And I got to be an expert at putting up those hurricane shutters. And if you've never lived through a hurricane, it can be a harrowing experience for sure. Or any natural disaster for that matter. But looks like the weather's going to be great. And I'm just looking over across the kind of overall for the country. Looks like the Weather Channel is saying October may not feel like fall for many. Okay. Well, the national forecast looks to be pretty good. I mean, across the southern states, looks to be pretty warm and even fairly pleasant up to the northeast, whether or not you believe that. So it looks like it's going to be a great weekend. So wherever you are, when you hear our voice here tonight, hope you have a fantastic weekend. You got something big planned, something I'm missing. Let me know about it. Give me a call here in the studio or throw it down in the comments here in the chat. That would be great. Certainly would appreciate that. So we got these new machines here in the studio, and I'm working on Al's machine right now, and I was trying to figure out how to have a separate login and be able to use the producer studio and the backbone, but I haven't been able to figure it out. And I'm just hoping that everything is recording properly because we're about an hour and 35 minutes into this broadcast, and I got about, 24 or so minutes to go. And I just want to do it right. Not only do I want to do my host right, but I also want to do my listening audience right because, as I said earlier, nobody wants to just listen to a talking head. They want something that's going to be useful for them and valuable ultimately. So hopefully everything's going right tonight. And I certainly covet your prayers as well. Those that are out there listening, I would appreciate it. It's been pretty hectic the past few weeks in a variety of different ways for me. Somebody said to me today, a friend, do you ever slow down? And I started thinking, Yeah, occasionally, but I only know really on or off. It could be the red hair, or it could be this little goatee that I'm trying to grow, as you probably have already noticed. Not very well, of course. Never been very good at being able to do that, and letting the hair grow out just a little bit as well. Um, so at any rate, it is important to take some time to relax and recharge the batteries. I know my good friend Brad Storm. I haven't had a chance to catch up with him. We had talked about maybe bringing him on board to do some co-hosting with me while Al is recovering. Bring him in specifically, to talk sports and some other things. Brad's very good with that. His background, we get along great, and it's an opportunity to kick things around together. So I think we're going to try that here. I'm going to see if we can get him on in the studio here with me. And I've got a few other little guests that might be joining me here over the next few weeks as well. So I think it's going to turn out to be a pretty good time. We'll see. And of course, folks, if you have any comments that you want to make, send them to Al. I'm just kidding. You can send them directly to me. My email address, Jeffrey Zapp, Jeffrey, Z as in zebra, APP as in Peter and Paul, at gmail.com. Or you can go to our website, talkoneradio.com, and there's a little scroll down near the bottom, and there's a place for you to enter your comments. In fact, I'll go ahead and pull that up right now so you can see that. Just scroll down to the bottom of the page there. Let's go to TalkOne Radio here. We'll share this. Right on the main page here, you can find our archive shows and links to social media as well, some of our sponsors. And of course, beautiful pictures of us. But you can sign up for the latest newsletter. And if you have general inquiries, you can type them here in the lower right-hand portion. Hit the submit. A producer will get it, and she'll let us know what's going on with that. So certainly would appreciate your feedback. Again, can't thank you enough for our listeners. And for those that call in, have an opportunity to say what's on their mind. We certainly appreciate you doing that. And the number, again, in case you're wondering, you want to call here in the studio anytime. It's 843-800-1492. And it shouldn't feel like, you're pulling teeth or having some painful procedure to call in. It's just, I always like to say, it's just like having a conversation. That's it. Speaking of conversations, had a chance to talk to my buddy Joe Caruso last night. Big Joe, who is a not only a loyal listener, but a featured caller. And he's going back out into the field. He's got some business to take care of. So he's going to be out of pocket for a little while. So we'll miss his calls in here. But it was great catching up with Joe. And here's a guy that, he's like me. He's an interesting study. He knows a lot. And when you listen to him, you might learn something. And not saying that I'm the smartest or the sharpest tool in the shed. The jack of all trades, master of none. But certainly great to catch up with him. So hopefully, Joe, wherever you're headed to, you have safe travels and you have an opportunity to do what you need to do and then get back in the saddle and give us a holler. All right, folks. Let's see what else is going on here on a national front. I'm sorry. I just turned up the AC here because it was cranked down pretty much. So a little kind of chilly in here tonight when I stepped into the studio. All right, nothing going on that front right there. Biden's vaccine mandate will worsen Pennsylvania nursing homes. I tell you what, that just seems like we've got more and more of these stories. Huh. Don't know. I would say a majority of the news stories, I'm looking at the Gateway Pundit. I don't know what all you turn to for your news sources anymore. That would be a great topic of a discussion. You know, here's my go-to. I'll give you my go-to. I always have the Epoch Times up. It's a paid subscription, the digital version. I really, really loved it initially. It's okay. So this is my go-to. Initially, that one and the Gateway Pundit. It's pretty good. I'm not a Fox News person. You know, if I'm watching anything online, which I hardly ever do, I really enjoy getting my news sources from a variety of different things. I will tell you, for independent investigative journalism, if you haven't had an opportunity to check out Uncover DC, I highly encourage you to go check out Tracy Bean's Uncover DC. She has wonderful, wonderful staff over there, and they're always bringing up. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to give her a plug. They just have an incredible team over there. They just dropped actually a couple great articles. I don't know why it's not coming up. There we go. And we're going to share this now. Make sure you check this out. Here's a great news source. So when you go to Uncover DC, and hey, listen, if you get an opportunity, please support them. It's not like they're a huge organization, but they are trying to bring the best in independent investigative journalism. And she is, certainly one to continue to press forward. But you get the latest articles here. You can click on any of these. Miss Michelle Edwards is also one of she's a really good writer, journalist. Yeah. So you can check them out. Getting back to my initial story here, I'm sorry I got sidetracked there. Gateway Pundit is another one that I typically pay attention to. And that's pretty good. I don't really know if there's really great news articles or newspapers out there today or publishing electronically. I just don't. I mean, some of the local stuff here, it's clickbait. I'll check on it. I don't always pay attention to everything that they're saying, certainly. But those are some of the ones that I go to. One American News Network. I don't know how you feel about that. America's Voice. America's Real Voice. I don't remember what it is. I know Steve Bannon is on that particular network, which is War Room Pandemic. If you've watched that for the podcast, I'm just kind of giving you a sampling. RevolverNews.net is another one. American Thinker, Breitbart. I kind of trickle over there. There's a variety of them that I try to pay attention to. Maybe the Washington Times, some of the other ones. Breitbart, I used to really enjoy. I just don't get into it very much anymore. Well, matter of fact, this is Breitbart right here. The Democrats' draft spending bill still includes huge changes to the nation's migration laws, even after the Senate's parliamentarian removed several amnesties from the multi-trillion-dollar spending bill. The bill would dramatically push up housing prices by expanding the inflow of chain migrants. This is Breitbart News, by the way. I'm reading their article. And also would slash white-collar salaries by creating a new and uncapped migration category of college college-educated workers for a huge variety of Fortune 500 jobs from coast to coast. Let's see here. If we're talking about getting white-collar visas so you can take care of business problems, I'm not supportive in the absence of getting anything else done, Senator Bob Menendez, Democrat in New Jersey, told Bloomberg Government. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois also suggested that he might oppose the white-collar giveaway to the Fortune 500 if Democrats do not get their amnesties and new voters. You know, folks, I'm telling you what, like I said earlier, these guys and gals are corrupt as all get out. It's just, it's absolutely, it's appalling. I mean, they just keep printing money. $3.5 trillion. Does anyone really have any comprehensive understanding of how much money that is? They just add some more zeros to it. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's why I said earlier tonight, I don't even know. I think I'm just floored by how much craziness the politics are right now at hand. And the other thing that what's troubling me is this is so hard to understand or decipher what the truth is with all this craziness that's going on, right? Senator Chuck Schumer, kept the $1.5 trillion reconciliation signed deal with Senator Joe Manchin hidden from Representative Nancy Pelosi until this week. Representative Debbie Dingell, Democrat Michigan, told CNN on Friday. She had no knowledge of this until this week, Dingell said, of the senator's agreement that was revealed Thursday. The signed document by both men state the top line number for the reconciliation package would be $1.5 trillion, with debate on the package beginning no later than October 1st. Yeah, we've seen that. I don't know. I really don't. I'd like to say that I do and I understand this, but it's just so beyond me at this point. It's just not right. Oh, here's something of note. Check this out. Dianne Feinstein unveils bill to mandate coronavirus vaccine or testing for domestic flights. This was yesterday's news. On Wednesday, she proposed legislation that would require proof of coronavirus vaccination or a negative coronavirus test in order to fly domestically ahead of the holiday season. You have got to be out of your flippin' mind. I guess a lot of people will be driving cars. We know that air travel during the 2020 holiday season contributed to last winter's devastating COVID-19 surge. We simply cannot allow that to happen again. Listen to this old hag. She's 88 years old and she's still up there. What's it gonna take? As one of my best friends would say, what's it gonna take? You have to be out of your stinking mind. We can't allow upcoming holiday air travel to contribute to another surge in COVID cases. It only makes sense that we also ensure the millions of airline passengers that crisscross our country aren't contributing to further transmission. You know what? Let me tell you something. Let me in on you a little secret. Those little masks, they don't help. This tyrannical, you got to keep I read another article about keeping your mask on in flight. You know, you can only pull it down and in between sips these are like Nazis. So here's the way I'm looking at it. So what, you're going to say that we need a test before we get on an airplane? What if it's only for a weekend flight? You're going to fly in, for a long weekend trip. These rapid tests, how effective are they? What is all this nonsense about? The fact that they practically rape you now when you're trying to get on an airplane and you go through all this TSA stuff, because after 9/11, of course, the Patriot Act pretty much stripped us of all rights, for our protection. See where that turned out, how well that worked out for us. 20 years in Afghanistan, thousands died and trillions of dollars spent, and the debacle of leaving Afghanistan. You call me crazy, but this is where we're at right now. So now they want to, help us reduce the COVID transmission during the big winter travel here, holidays. I don't know if anybody's going to be really buying anything. You think we're going to be running out to Toys R Us if we got these ships, these container ships that are stranded off the coast, these ports, they're not able to get their goods? People having a hard time working? It's craziness. And they're worried about domestic flights. What's the transmission rate, right? I mean, seriously, right now, what, CNN took down their ticker months ago. I just think it's a farce. Vaccination is a critical strategy to end the COVID-19 pandemic, and vaccination requirements in multiple settings are an important mechanism to boost vaccination rates, prevent infections, and hospitalizations, and save lives. Dr. Barbara D. Alexander, president of the Infectious Disease Society of America, said in a statement, the introduction of Feinstein's bill comes as some airlines are getting ready to fire unvaccinated employees. Good. Fire them all, right? I don't get it. I really do not get it at all. I mean, I get it if you're trying to destroy our country. It makes total sense then. I don't get is we're dealing with a virus here that 99% of the people are going to be fine. Absolutely fine. United Airlines said Wednesday it's beginning the process to fire nearly 600 employees who have refused to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. I hope that these employees take some litigation against United and other employers as well. Remember the OSHA threat? Biden stood up there and said, here's what we're going to do. And businesses, employers should be making sure that these mandates on these vaccinations. That's total tyranny, folks. Whatever happened to informed consent? Whatever happened for an individual to be able to make decisions on their own? I think they should sue the heck out of them. Every single one of them. Same thing with healthcare workers, first responders, EMS, police, all of this stuff. This is what needs to happen. We're just going to have to push back. You know what? It's a mandate. Don't take it. 88 years old. Don't you think she should be? I don't know if she's vaccinated or not, but my goodness, retire already. Get on to something else. I mean, don't you have something better to do with your life other than to try to ruin our country? United said 99% of its employees have complied with the mandate, but noted that it's run out of options in working with the remaining 593 who have not received the shot. Yeah, so let's just shame those 593 for whatever personal reasons they decided not to get the jab. So yeah, let's go ahead and further divide our country by dividing us into vaccinated versus unvaccinated, or by the color of our skin, or by some other type of definition that suits your propagandist, socialist agenda. I'm not going to end on a bad note as we close out the night. It's very agonizing to see more and more of this. Absolutely crazy. Yep. I don't know. Thanks, Brad, for commenting on looks like Facebook. And that's the thing. And I've got friends that I entered the military, and in fact, one good friend, he's a chief master sergeant now. We're going to have him on the program. I don't know why that keeps doing that. We're going to have him on the program at some point when he feels comfortable. I have a niece and her husband. They're in the Air Force. They're officers. I've got plenty of friends that are still either active duty or just getting off, 30 years in the military, I would love to have a little bit more of an insight as to, what's transpiring with this. I don't know if I just lost my my audio or not. So if you can hear me, hopefully you can. Somebody gives me a thumbs up or whatever. My video just started crashing on me. So I don't really know what's going on there. This is kind of a new one. Never know what happens with all this, which is interesting. So as we kind of pull into the weekend here, I just want to thank you all for listening and for tuning in. I didn't want to end on a bad note there, but yeah, it's absolutely craziness what we've been seeing here in the country, and some of the other things in terms of this totalitarian, struggle that we see, this government trying to take our rights away more and more. So my system locked up on me and figures this is the way it's going to end. I'm telling you, the way it started today, it's been nonstop fighting with technology. It's either that or the gremlins have come out and decided that they wanted to destroy my last few minutes on the air. So this is the way it is. I'm going to end on a positive note, knowing that my friend is doing just fine. I wanted to send out, just a special message to him. If you get a chance to listen to this, brother, thanks so much for allowing me the opportunity to sit here in the captain's seat and to broadcast for you while you rest and recuperate. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Godspeed, brother. And looking forward to seeing you when you get back here and home. And for the rest of our loyal listeners, thanks so much for sticking with me tonight and having an opportunity to share all this with you. We will be back on Monday. I'm going to turn this off because this thing is not working. So I'm going to turn off my video. If I lose you on the stream, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it goes. We'll be back on on Monday, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss a little bit more. I'll be much better prepared then. And then on Wednesday of next week, as I mentioned, we're going to have Lynn Wood and friends on air live. We're going to have at least a 2-hour discussion, and it's going to be really fun. We'll also be having some amazing other guests coming up here in the short term, so make sure that you stick around for that as well. And we'll make sure that we have an opportunity to do that. So, folks, I just lost all of my electronics, my boards here. Everything is now gone, so there's no way that I can even do an outbound. I'll do my closing here. So thanks so much for listening tonight to TalkOne Radio, TalkOne Radio Network. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be kind to one another out there, especially on 278. Have a great night.